It's funny, the moments that cleave your life into a before and an after. Sometimes it's a phone call in the middle of the night, the kind that makes the blood in your veins run cold. Sometimes it's the first time you hold your child. And sometimes, apparently, it's a Tuesday morning scrolling through a tech feed while your coffee gets cold and you stumble upon a name, Sora 2. I'd heard of the first Sora, of course. We all had. It was a novelty, a fascinating party trick. Look, a reasonably convincing video of a dog riding a skateboard generated from a sentence. We laughed, we shared the clips, we marveled at the cleverness of it all. It was impressive, sure, but it was janky. The physics were a little floaty, the details a bit smeared. You could always tell. It was a clever facsimile, a technological parrot mimicking reality. It wasn't the real thing. But this was different. The article I was reading had an embedded video, a demo. A woman walking through a futuristic city, rain slicking the neon-drenched streets. Every droplet that hit her coat seemed to have weight. The reflections in her eyes captured the chaotic beauty of the cityscape with perfect fidelity. Her hair moved with a gentle, almost imperceptible breeze. The video was stunning, but it was the caption that stopped my heart. Generated by OpenAI's Sora 2. Prompt: a woman with thoughtful eyes walks through a rainy, neon-lit Tokyo of the future. Then another clip. A historian giving a lecture, her voice perfectly synced with her lips, the subtle nuances of her expression conveying a passion for her subject. The audio wasn't just background noise, it was integral, matched to the action. Then a wildlife documentary, a snow leopard stalking its prey across a rocky outcrop, its muscles rippling beneath its thick fur, the physics of its pounce utterly, terrifyingly real. I spent the next hour falling down a rabbit hole watching clip after clip, each one more astonishing than the last. These weren't just videos, they were worlds, and they were being conjured out of thin air by a machine from a handful of words. The initial awe, that sense of witnessing a miracle, lasted for about an hour. It was the same feeling I got when I first saw the internet, or the first time I held a smartphone. A giddy, breathless sense of boundless possibility, and then, like a slow creeping tide, the dread began to set in. I'm a software engineer. For 20 years, my world has been one of logic, of syntax, of building things line by painstaking line. I've always considered myself safe. The narrative we in the tech world have been fed, the one we've eagerly fed to others, is that AI is a tool. It's an amplifier of human capability, not a replacement. It would handle the grunt work, the repetitive tasks, freeing us up for the more creative, the more strategic, the more human parts of our jobs. We were the architects, the visionaries. AI would be the tireless bricklayer. It was a comforting thought, a narrative that allowed us to innovate without contemplating our own obsolescence. But looking at these Sora 2 videos, that narrative started to feel like a threadbare blanket, wholly inadequate for the storm that was gathering. What part of that photorealistic snow leopard was grunt work? Where was the human augmentation in a machine that could conceive and execute a cinematic vision from a simple text prompt? This wasn't just laying bricks. This was architecture, cinematography, storytelling, and sound design all rolled into one. It was the creative spark itself, automated. My mind immediately went to my own job. I work in UI/UX design and development. My team and I spend weeks, sometimes months, crafting the user experience for new software. We sketch wireframes, build prototypes, write the front-end code, test every interaction, every animation, every subtle gradient and shadow to make sure it feels intuitive, seamless, human. It's a craft. It's a blend of art and science, and I've always been proud of it. But for how much longer? I can already see the writing on the wall. A product manager will soon be able to type. Design a clean, intuitive user interface for a project management app, targeting creative professionals. Use a minimalist aesthetic with a dark mode option. Animate the task completion function with a satisfying, subtle burst of particles. And out will pop a fully functional, beautifully designed prototype. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year. But the distance between that Sora 2 video and my job feels terrifyingly short. The World Economic Forum predicted that AI would create more jobs than it displaced, 97 million new roles to offset the 85 million lost by 2025. But what kind of jobs? Are we all just going to become professional prompters, curators of the AI's genius? I looked around my home office at the sticky notes on my monitor, the whiteboard covered in flowcharts, the shelf of technical books I've accumulated over the years. It felt like a museum exhibit dedicated to an endangered species, the programmer. We used to be the wizards, the gatekeepers of the digital world. Now it seems the magic is being democratized, packaged into an API. And what happens when the magic is that easy to conjure? The value of the magician plummets. I've read the reports. Goldman Sachs estimated that generative AI could automate up to half of all jobs by 2045. Another report I saw mentioned that 7,000 jobs were cut in a single month last year specifically due to AI. It's not some far-off hypothetical anymore. It's happening now. And the tech sector, my sector, is one of the hardest hit. They say it's just disruption, that it will free up human workers to focus on more strategic efforts. But what if the strategy itself can be outsourced to an algorithm? I think about the junior developers on my team, bright-eyed and brilliant, fresh out of university with a mountain of student debt. They're learning the ropes, cutting their teeth on the routine coding that the experts say will be the first to go. We were told that AI would be a co-pilot, a helpful assistant. And it is for now. But the co-pilot is learning at an exponential rate. Soon it won't just be suggesting lines of code, it will be writing entire applications. What is the career path for a young developer when the entry-level tasks that build their skills and experience are entirely automated? Employment for young, tech-exposed workers is already showing signs of strain. Will there be a generation of programmers who never get the chance to become seniors because the ladder they're supposed to climb has been pulled up into the cloud? The argument, of course, is that new roles will emerge: AI ethicist, machine learning engineer, AI trainer, and that's true to an extent. But it feels like a game of musical chairs with ever faster music and fewer chairs. It requires a constant, frantic scramble of upskilling and retraining just to stay one step ahead of the algorithm. I'm in my mid-40s. I've spent 2 decades honing a specific set of skills. Do I have it in me to reinvent myself completely every 5 years for the rest of my working life? It's exhausting just to think about. This isn't just about my job, my mortgage, my comfortable life. It's about a fundamental shift in the value of human labor. For centuries, our economic systems have been built on the premise that a human being with their skills and their time has value. We trade that value for the means to live. But this new wave of AI isn't just automating physical tasks like the Industrial Revolution did. It's automating cognitive tasks. It's coming for the white-collar jobs, the creative jobs, the jobs we thought were safe because they required a mind, a spark of ingenuity. And if that spark can be replicated, what is the value of hours? The unease I feel is profound. It's a quiet, gnawing anxiety that has settled in my stomach. The world didn't change today, not really. The sun rose, the traffic hummed, my coffee still tasted the same. But my perception of the future, my place in it, has been irrevocably altered. I'm looking at the foundations of my career, of my industry, and seeing hairline fractures spreading through the concrete. And I can't shake the feeling that Sora 2 is the earthquake that caused them. A beautiful, brilliant, terrifying earthquake that is just the first of many tremors to come. The before was a time of relative certainty. The after is a vast, hazy expanse of unknown. And for the first time in my professional life, I feel truly, deeply unprepared for what's next. It's been a few hours since I first saw it, and the initial shock, the professional anxiety, has metastasized into something deeper, something far more unsettling. My mind keeps replaying those Sora 2 videos, not just the technical brilliance but the implications, the ease with which it creates a reality that never was. I'm moving past the question of will I have a job, and into the terrifying territory of what is real anymore. This isn't just about economic disruption. This is about epistemological chaos. It's about the very fabric of our shared reality becoming frayed and weak. For all of human history, we have been able to rely on a fundamental principle: seeing is believing. A photograph, a video recording, these were our touchstones of truth. They were evidence. They could be doctored, of course, but it took skill, time, and resources. It left artifacts, telltale signs for the trained eye. But Sora 2 and the technologies that will inevitably follow it represent a quantum leap. They don't just alter reality. They generate it from scratch, wholesale, with a verisimilitude that is designed to be indistinguishable from the real thing. We are standing on the precipice of a world where, for the first time, the cost and effort of creating a convincing lie are zero. What does a courtroom look like in that world? Video evidence, a cornerstone of the modern justice system, becomes virtually meaningless. A security camera feed showing a defendant at the scene of a crime. It's a deepfake, Your Honor. an audio recording of a CEO admitting to fraud. AI generated. It creates a fog of plausible deniability so thick that objective fact can no longer be established. Every piece of digital evidence becomes suspect, not just in high-profile cases, but in custody battles, in insurance claims, in everything. The very notion of truth becomes a matter of opinion, of who you choose to believe, because the bedrock of empirical evidence has turned to sand. And politics, dear God, the politics. We are already living in a post-truth era where misinformation spreads like wildfire through the echo chambers of social media. Now, imagine arming every political operative, every foreign adversary, every lone wolf troll with a tool that can create a photorealistic video of any politician saying or doing anything imaginable. A candidate caught on video accepting a bribe a week before an election. A world leader appearing to declare war in a televised address. It wouldn't even have to be perfect. In the chaotic, fast-moving world of social media, the damage is done in the first few hours. The video goes viral, the outrage is sparked, and the retraction, if it ever comes, is a whisper in a hurricane. It's the ultimate tool for political manipulation, capable of swaying elections and inciting violence before anyone has a chance to even ask if what they're seeing is real. Trust in our institutions, already at a historic low, will evaporate completely. How can you trust a news report when the footage accompanying it could be a complete fabrication? How can you trust your government when you can't be sure the person on your screen is even them? This technology is a weapon of mass deception, and it's being released into the wild with the flimsy pretense of a watermark that was reportedly cracked within a week of its release. OpenAI talks about safety, about red teams and responsible deployment, but it's a fool's errand. You cannot put this kind of power into the world and expect it to stay in a box. It's naive to the point of recklessness. Pandora's box is open, and it's filled with an infinite number of perfectly crafted, utterly believable lies. But it's not just the grand scale of politics and justice that terrifies me. It's the personal, the intimate. The potential for harassment and abuse is staggering. Think of revenge porn, which is already a devastating problem. Now imagine it supercharged, where anyone can create a sexually explicit video starring anyone else without their consent. A study I read found that the overwhelming majority of existing deepfakes were already pornographic in nature. This technology will be used to humiliate, to blackmail, to destroy reputations and lives. Your likeness, your voice, the very essence of your identity, can be hijacked and used in ways you can't even imagine, and you will have little to no recourse. How do you prove the video isn't you when it looks exactly like you, sounds exactly like you, and moves exactly like you? There's a deeper, more philosophical horror here, too. What does this do to our own minds, to our sense of self and our connection to others? We build our relationships on a foundation of shared memories and experiences. But what happens when those memories can be convincingly fabricated? Imagine receiving a video of your spouse saying something cruel and unforgivable, or a video of a deceased loved one brought back to life to deliver a message. The emotional manipulation potential is boundless. It preys on our most basic human connections, turning them into a potential vector for attack. We will have to develop a new kind of literacy, a constant, wearying skepticism of everything we see and hear. Every video, every image, every audio clip will have to be treated as potentially false. The mental toll of living in such a world, of having to constantly question the evidence of your own senses, will be enormous. It will breed a pervasive cynicism and paranoia, a retreat from a shared public square into the silo of our own trusted, or at least, we hope they're trusted, circles. The uncertainty generated by these fakes will erode our trust not just in institutions, but in each other. I feel a strange sense of mourning. I'm mourning the loss of a world where I could look at a photograph of my parents on their wedding day and know, with absolute certainty, that it was real. I'm mourning the end of a time when a video could bring a dictator to justice or expose a corporate crime. I'm mourning the passing of a reality that, for all its flaws, felt solid, tangible, and shared. We are drifting into a hall of mirrors, where every reflection is suspect, and the real world is just one of an infinite number of possible outputs. The awe I felt this morning has completely curdled. Sora 2 is a technological marvel, there's no denying it. But it's the kind of marvel that makes you wonder if we're like children playing with matches in a library filled with the entire history of human knowledge. We are so enamored with the flame, so proud that we can create it, that we're not thinking about the irreplaceable things it could burn down. My job, my career, that feels like such a small, selfish concern now. It's just one book in the library. What I'm truly afraid of is that we're about to set the whole damn place on fire, and we'll be left in the ashes, unable to tell the difference between the truth and the smoke.